My identity was a football player. I felt myself slipping away. The part that wasn't the football player, the part that was Kyle, I was lost. I was trying to figure myself out. I sat on the porch for 6 hours and I could see all of the different lives that I could live. I could move to India, be a yogi. I could be Arnold Schwarzenegger. He's my hero. I spent 3 years on a law degree, and on the day I finished, I threw it all away. The gym was called Peak Performance. It was a personal training gym. There were all these celebrities there. Sarah Jessica Parker, Gerard Butler, Hilary Swank, Ethan Hawke, 50 Cent. Like, I was in the room with like these celebrities, and they're asking me like what I do to train. Like, what? And the story of the fort. So I was, I mean, I could go way back, but let me start kind of, I think, where things got kind of interesting. I played college football my whole life. Or I didn't play college football my whole life, but I played football my whole life. And I played through college. So I'd always been around a weight room. I'd always been in the gym. I didn't really understand what I was doing, but I was a very good soldier. I could listen to my instructions and I was good at following through. And I always felt really confident and comfortable in a gym. I was really lucky. I didn't have to start like a lot of people do. I didn't have a choice. It was part of the sport that I played. So it's just what you do, right? So I didn't have to think about it. I didn't have to decide or invest. I didn't have to, make a big decision. I didn't have a choice to procrastinate or not. I had to go. It was part of who I am. It was what I had to do. So I was able to get right into strength training as just part of what I was doing. It was part of the sport that I played. I played college football. After that, I was kind of lost. My identity was a football player. And you graduate and you're not, and you don't know who you are. I struggled with it. I saw therapists. I burned my jersey in a ritualistic ceremony to like help me shed an identity and like take on a new one. But I didn't know who I was. I would still go to the gym, but since I didn't have the direction, I didn't have anybody telling me I had to be there, what I needed to do, I kind of slipped off from doing it well. And then I started losing myself. Like, I felt myself slipping away. The part that wasn't the football player, the part that was Kyle, that was confident and good at things and believed in himself and could do hard things and just practice that regularly. I searched for myself. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I wanted to be. I had a degree in accounting and finance, which I didn't care about. I just thought maybe that would be the degree I should have to get a job that's going to pay more. So I got a job selling door-to-door insurance in West Virginia. That lasted like 3 months and I was out. Then I got a job at a bank, and I was basically like a personal banker calling people to see if they wanted to do a home equity line of credit, or if they needed a mortgage, or if they just wanted to open checking accounts or sell credit cards. That sucked. There were some lawyers that came in to like do deals and like close mortgages, and they seemed to be making more money than me, and they seemed like they had more freedom. The one thing I remember is one of them had an iPhone when it first came out, like the week it came out. And it was the craziest thing that I've ever seen. And I just thought, well, he's a lawyer, like he can afford that. Maybe I should be a lawyer. And I took the LSAT. I did good enough to get into West Virginia. That's where I was at the time. I was in Huntington, West Virginia, where the University of Marshall's at. So I got into West Virginia University. I was like, I'm going to go to law school and I'll get an iPhone. Yeah, I don't know. It was that flippant that I thought this is why I should go to law school. But it wasn't that I was passionate about the law. It wasn't the thing that I needed to do. I was lost. I was trying to figure myself out. So I got in, and I loved being in college and not playing football. I was good enough in law school to keep doing it, but what I loved was just being in college, and that actually helped because I was able to sort of find myself a little bit. And it gave me some perspective. Well, what do I really want to do? And it came clear that being a lawyer wasn't what I wanted to do. I was still slipping in my training. I would still go to the gym, but I was slipping. I was getting heavier. I saw the lawyers. I would work at the law firms over the summer when I was in law school. I saw lawyers' lives, and I could see the next 30 years out for my own life. Like they were just where I'm at right now. And then they graduated, and then they took the bar, and then this is their first year, and this is their 5th year, and this is their 10th year. I could see what I would become, and I didn't love it. So I think my subconscious started to resist it and push back against it. I ended up taking acid for the first time. I wasn't a psychedelic person. It wasn't even intentional. I think that maybe it was serendipitous, that maybe like that was supposed to happen at that time, because my brain didn't work like that. It was so narrowly focused all the time. I could see a straight line, I could see a vision, but I couldn't see alternate visions. I saw my life as a lawyer in 30 years, but I couldn't see any other possibility. And I took acid, I sat on the porch for 6 hours, and I could see all of the different lives that I could live. I could see all the way down the road, 30 years down the road, 50 years down the road. I could move to India today and give everything up, be a monk, be a yogi. That's an option. I could be Arnold Schwarzenegger. That's an option. Just go that direction. Everything was an option. The book was open. The Rolodex was open. So I chose the Arnold Schwarzenegger path. He's my hero. He came here with nothing. He created a whole world built on getting people's attention just from the way he looked. He looked so crazy that people were just like, what is going on with you? And it opened doors. He became a movie star. He became governor. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that that was a platform. He used his body. He used his fitness, his capabilities, his strength, the way he looked to open doors for him. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna see what doors open. And the next day, this is before the internet is what it is, before YouTube existed. I got on bodybuilding.com forums, and I started researching how people get in shape in a way that other people pay attention to you. How do I look different? How do I look a certain way so that people are like, what's going on with you? How did you do that? And I committed to it fully. I saw a vision. It was meaningful. I knew that it would open doors. I had a knowing that if I can do what Arnold did, my life will be radically different, and I'll have opportunities that I don't have right now. And this is the only way that I can see to open the types of opportunities that I wanted to have. I got on bodybuilding.com. I started tracking everything I ate. I did what they said. I learned how macros work. I got in the gym, and I knew how to be in the gym. I knew how to train, but now I had some direction. I had a program, I had a system. I'd wake up early. I would get on the Stairmaster for an hour. I'd come back, eat my breakfast, do what I had to do that day, come back and train my ass off in the afternoon. And in 3 months, I was unrecognizable from the 3 months before. Right on the last day, I remember it was the last week of law school. So the end was coming near. I had to figure something out, but I transformed myself. I sent some photos to an agent in Pittsburgh that did bookings for Dick's Sports and GNC. They were both headquartered out there. And he invited me up to do some shoots, and I got some jobs for Dick's Sports and GNC. And that was crazy. And the booking agent was like, well, who's your agent? Where do you sent me this, but who manages you? And I didn't have anyone. And he said, well, you have to meet Topher in New York, Topher Dupre. He's a manager at Wilhelmina, and he'll book you jobs. He'll get plenty of jobs, but I'll introduce you. So I was introduced over email. Topher was like, hey, I've got some things to send you on tomorrow. Can you be here? And this was right as my last assignment was due in law school. I submitted it. I didn't even go to graduation. I got in the car, I went to New York. I spent 3 years on a law degree, And on the day I finished, I threw it all away to do something else because I couldn't see myself going down that path. And the opportunity, the chance of something else was worth giving it all up. I'm still paying back the student loans. It doesn't matter. I don't care. So moved to New York, started getting jobs. He put me on romance novel covers. He put me in Men's Health. I was in magazines. I got decent work. And through all of it, people start asking me like, how did you do this? Like, how did you look like this? And that's where personal training started coming in. And Topher, my agent, introduced me to a gym owner that he managed named Joe Dowdell. And the gym was called Peak Performance. It was the best gym in New York. It was probably the best gym in the world. It was a personal training gym. There were all these celebrities there. Sarah Jessica Parker, Gerard Butler, Hilary Swank, Ethan Hawke, 50 Cent. It was crazy. I was from West Virginia. I didn't know, this was insane, right? And it was happening. Like the Arnold thing was happening. Like I was in the room with like these celebrities and they're asking me like what I do to train. Like what? Like the opportunities were starting, you know, and I started to get it. And that's where it was Peak Performance where I met my business partner, Dan. He was actually my boss. I didn't know anything about training. I just looked like I did. I didn't know how to train other people. Dan taught me how to train other people. And through working in this personal training gym, I was getting way more interested in the training than the modeling. I would go for modeling shoots. Everybody in the casting room looked exactly like me. You get picked it feels random, you know, or you're just second guessing yourself. And does your hair look right? Are you tall enough? Or your pec's big enough, or your shoulder, like, or that guy is like got a wider shoulder base than me. You start guessing everything. It's like, and you're criticizing yourself all the time, and you're not being valued for who you are. You're getting valued for how you look. It didn't even matter if I was capable or confident, or it didn't matter. It just mattered what I looked like, and that continually started to feel more and more shallow. And it was very cool to be in magazine covers, but it didn't take very long before I didn't care and it didn't feel good. And in the training, I was starting to help other people get what I got way back in the day when I just learned some confidence in the gym. And I started to connect the dots that being good in the gym and focusing on your capability, not like what you look like, but how you feel about yourself. Because you know you're somebody who can do difficult things, who can endure, somebody who can delay gratification, work toward a goal that's meaningful to you. When you do that, you build yourself up to yourself. So your vision of yourself, it's not the vision that you have in the mirror, it's the vision you have in your mind of yourself. What do you think of yourself? So how would you help someone think differently about themselves? It's not going to be from giving them a pep talk. That's nice, that's great. The only way they're gonna do it is if they see evidence that they are someone different. They have to see themselves doing the things that they didn't think were possible for themselves, and then they'll believe that they are someone else. And I was loving it. And I was also charging $200 an hour and realizing most people can't do this. Like, this isn't accessible. And it doesn't work great. One-on-one personal training didn't work that well. If you had a really good trainer and you really were committed to what you were doing and you had a plan, it could work. But I watched all the other trainers and even certain clients I just couldn't connect with. I couldn't get them over the hump. And I thought back to when I played football and what training was then. It was nothing like this. It wasn't one-on-one personal training. It was strength training. There was usually 3 or 4 of us. Usually people, you know, it wasn't even broken down by what position you were, how big you were, but you would train with 3 or 4 other football players, and the strength coach would prescribe what to do with you and for the other 3 people. And since there were other people doing it, you didn't have time to slow down or stop or talk about the weekend or Netflix. You just like got it done. That worked a lot better. So there was this like idea in my head. There was this idea in my head that you could do that for people in New York that just wanted the best training. And if you were focused on the best training, it wouldn't look like this one-on-one thing. That's just the most expensive training. The best training would be with a couple of other people, with a really great coach and a really great program that's built on the foundation that what you're doing for people isn't giving them six packs. If they get a six pack, great, but that's not what you're doing for them. You're showing them who they could be, who they are. You're giving them evidence that they could be someone that they never believed that they could be. And then they could get into a practice where they're doing that on a regular basis and constantly developing their own image of themselves over time. So I had this one client, Larry, who we just talked about this for a year. He was a lawyer. He had his own law firm, and we talked about how messed it up that this didn't exist. And he always kind of hinted like, well, like put a business plan together, like try, you might have my support. You know, I didn't have enough money to start a gym, but he did. And Dan saw what I was doing. He saw me writing and working and, you know, developing this idea. And one day he came to me and he was like, you know, I see what you're doing. I see what you're working on, and I want in. And I was like, whoa, that's incredible. Dan was way above my pay grade. Like he was my boss. Like he taught me everything. He wanted to join me in what I was working on. And Larry was down to financially back this. So the gym we were at, Peak Performance, it was undergoing changes. They were moving to a new location. They had ambitions of their own. But things were changing and our jobs were kind of changing, and they were trying to kind of move things around. So that's when we decided to pull the trigger and start the Fort. We actually called it Fortitude Strength Club. And we nicknamed it the Fort. And it actually wasn't any of our ideas. It was Sarah Bernstein, who's one of Dan's clients, who just, you know, we struggled with a name for months. And, you know, she told Dan, hey, it came to me. You should do Fortitude Strength Club and call it the Fort. And we were like, that's it. And Fortitude underlies everything that we do. The reason that the gym exists is through fortitude, you can do anything. Through consistency, you can do anything. Through your resilience, through an ability to not stop. Don't give up. Keep going. You don't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to be great. You just have to keep going. Fortitude doesn't care what your skill set is. Fortitude doesn't apply to the most in shape people, or it doesn't even care what type of shape you're in. It just cares that you keep showing up. How do we get people to keep showing up in a system that's going to keep developing them? And we had this idea. We'll set up 4 people. We'll have 2 trainers in the gym. Every half hour, there will be a new 4-person session available. We're all going to follow the same program. We're going to make the best program. We are going to follow all we are going to follow all of the principles of exercise science. We're going to follow all the evidence, and we're going to dial in the best program that we can. Dan had written, you know, numerous books on this, on programming. So he was a great resource. But working with him, I've learned a lot too. And we got this awesome program, and then we deliver that program to each person individually so that they get the most out of it for themselves, whatever level they're at. That's where the personal training comes in. Best program, individual delivery. We got 13, 16 people from our personal training roster to try it. We were able to get the cost of the sessions down to like $50 instead of $200 a session. So people could train 4 times for the same price that they would do 1. This gave people more access. It was still expensive at the time, maybe compared to bigger group fitness classes, but it was reachable. It was doable. People probably spent more going out to dinner every week than they would on a week's worth of this type of training. And what was crazy is the people who came over from one-on-one got in incredible shape in a very short period of time, better shape in 3 months than they did in 3 years of personal training. And they made friends, and it started to become a thing, because the one-on-one thing, no one connected with each other. Everyone's in the room, but they're all in their own bubble. They're not part of anything. They're not going anywhere with each other. We're human beings. We need each other. We do everything together. Everything great. Everything around us exists because we work together. You got to get people together. You can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, group fitness has some faults, but it has a huge upside, which is the social aspect, people connecting. And it's remarkable how much people connect when they're physically working together, when there's a physical component, when it hurts and you don't want to continue, but you do it for the other people that are making the same sacrifice. And it started becoming a thing. We didn't know how to market. We didn't know how to sell. We were just trainers. We fully relied on people just talking about it and telling each other about it, bringing in friends. This is where I met Jess. Jess was one of our first members. She was maybe like first 20 members. And I remember her when she came in, all I really remember was if she was in the gym, we would have a better gym. If she was in the gym, more people would want to be around the gym. She was so magnetic. She was so new to strength training, but she had so much fortitude in her. She wasn't that strong, but she had so much grit, and she wanted it. And she was clearly wanting to change her life. So I remember offering her a student discount, even though she wasn't a student, if she just came every day. Because back then we had a membership, 6 days or nothing. Come every day, it's $1,000 a month, boiled down to less than $50 a session. But I think I offered it to her for $500, but she had to come every day to keep getting the discount. And she showed up every day, 6 a.m., the first session before her work day. And in 6 months, she had built herself into something incredible. She was a runner, she was a marathoner. She had knocked off over 30 minutes on her marathon time, not doing anything different in her running. I think she went from a 3:45 to like a 3:13 in like one jump after already doing 10 marathons or so before this ever. So the strength training changed her, and she will tell you it wasn't her body that allowed her to do that. It was what had changed in her mind. We were doing such hard things, but we were doing it together in a way that you don't have a choice. It goes back to the beginning. I didn't have a choice. I was on a team. I didn't have to make the decision to join. That helps. If you can put yourself in a thing with other people where you don't have a choice, you just have to go with it. You have to react. You have to act. Take away your decisions. Just throw yourself in with people that you want to be with, people that you trust. And that's what was happening. People were doing that. My brother, who was not a trainer or a fitness person at all, he was one of our other first coaches. Jess, after 6 months with us, we asked her to change careers and be a coach, and she started coaching with us. So we had this family thing going on. We were all best friends. We would all hang out down in the gym. It was a basement, kind of underground New York. We didn't have a sign. Nobody knew where we were. And it was just this secret underground place where we just loved our life and we loved what we did. And it was slowly growing and more people wanted to train with us. And we kept doing that kind of right up to COVID. And then COVID happened and everybody left. Not their fault, but people moved. We weren't allowed to be open. I didn't know what to do. Dan didn't know what to do. Everyone was on salary. We just kept paying everybody's salaries. And we weren't making money. We were trying to do a remote business, which is actually a great business now. And Jess runs after we figured out how to do it, but at the time we didn't really know how to do it. And we were definitely spending more on our salaries than we were bringing in. And after about 6 months, we ran out of money, like completely. The bank account was dry and we didn't have an ability to pay anybody anymore. And that's where like my brother ended up kind of breaking up our relationship. And it's since been mended, but it was a really rough period of time for a long time because he was my best friend and we did everything together. And he was building this thing with me as much as I was. And I just happened to be the owner and he wasn't. And I think that just put the strain on our relationship. And it was a really tough spot because there was like a crossroads. You could sort of give up and you could pivot and you could say, okay, like this doesn't work. Or, we caught lightning in a bottle, but it was only short-lived. Or you continue to just have fortitude and take a different approach. You just say, well, I won't stop. Like, okay, I can't pay myself. I'll stop paying myself, but I'm just going to keep doing it. Okay, you lost your rent, you lost your location. Okay, I'm just gonna train people in the park. I'm gonna train people with what I have. You just make a decision that you're just gonna have fortitude. You're just gonna keep doing it. You just don't care. Just keep going. So we just kept going and we didn't get kicked out. We were able to negotiate our rent in a way that made sense. Fortunately, during that period of time, we didn't have as much time to train. So Dan and I learned how to market and sell. We learned how to be business people from Hormozi, from that guy, oddly enough. So we had the skill now we knew how to run ads and we knew how to get people. And when the gyms could reopen, now we weren't just like word of mouth. We could market and sell people into the gym. And in 3 months, we had made more in that month than we ever had in the 5 years before. And that gave us this new sort of confidence that we've always had a good thing. We just didn't know how to reach people. And then over the next 4 years, we opened a new gym every year. And we have 4 gyms now. And I'm not there. I live in Austin. The gyms are in New York. I realized that I couldn't be in all the gyms anymore. So even if I was there, I could only be in one and there'd be 3 that weren't, or that I wasn't in. So, and to be honest, after a while being in the gym, I was just hurting the managers because I was stealing their authority. It was their job and their place to own their gym, be the person that I was when we only had 1 gym. That was their job. So me being around wasn't helping. Jess and I got married. I skipped over that part over that period of time. And we had our son and we decided to move to Austin. And we work on the gyms every single day. I work with Dan closely every single day. We start every day with a FaceTime. We meet with our managers every week. We have a text thread every day that we're updating wins and client successes and business successes. And it's this thing now where it's still in the same bones. It still has the same spirit that it was when it was just me and Dan and we had started it off. But it's happening without, I could disappear. I could get, sucked up into a spaceship and abducted, and the gym would still be fortitude. It would still be what it is. So now it's in an interesting place where I have to figure out, how do I be better? How do I help it? What does my business need from me now? It used to need this. Now it needs something else. It's probably something that I'm not good at. And now I have to go back and revisit the same lessons that the gym's been teaching me my whole life, which is step into your discomfort. Be willing to grow. Don't give up. Commit. Be the person that can do that. And then you realize that That never ends. That's just life. Never lose the ability to be uncomfortable. This is why I think strength training is the most important thing anybody can do. There's nothing more tangible than our bodies. There's never been a method for me that's taught me these lessons as cleanly and clearly and knowingly, not from somebody else telling me, lecturing me experiencing it. When I can expand what I can do, I change the image that I have of myself. If I can keep doing that, I can keep growing. And if I'm growing, I'm happy. If I'm growing, that's where I feel fulfilled. When I don't know what to do, when I don't know where I'm going, when I don't have a vision, when I don't have a practice, life gets rough. So this has been the thing. And now it's how can I help people with this thing? It's always helped me.